call this meeting to order. I declare that a quorum is present and the media has been notified. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second?
We have a motion to approve the agenda. It's been seconded. Is there any discussion of the agenda? And at this time, all of those in favor of this motion, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
7-2. Got 7-2, Mr. Chairman?
7-2.
All right.
This time, let's take a moment of silence so that each of us can reflect on our own faith and its place in our work here this evening. Please keep in mind the families and the friends of the 2 Stratford students who lost their lives over this weekend. And at the end of this moment of silence, we will stand and pledge our allegiance to the flag. This time, then, please observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So I have a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting, the Board Docs training on June the 14th of 2016 and the regular meeting of June the 14th, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the minutes to the Board Docs training and the regular meeting of June the 14th. Is there any discussion of these or any changes? Then at this time, all of those in favor of this motion, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Then reflect 9-0. Moving on to agenda item 5, the approval of the May 2016 Head Start Budget Expenditure Report, May 2016 Head Start Credit Card Report, and the cost of living adjustments for the month of June 2016 supplemental application. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the May 2016 Head Start Budget Expenditures Report, the May 2016 Head Start Credit Card Report, and a cost of a living adjustment for the month of June 2016 supplemental application as presented in Agenda Item 5.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve the May 2016 Head Start Budget Expenditures Report, the May 2016 Head Start Credit Card Report, and the cost of living adjustments for the month of June 2016 supplemental application as presented in Agenda Item 5. Is there any discussion?
I'd just like to point out that we actually are required to list all those things. That's why we say that. Sometimes people wonder why we go through that, but the Head Start grant calls out for us to approve all of those things individually, so that's why we call them out that way.
Any other discussion? Then, all of those in favor of the motion for the Head Start Expenditures Report, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Show that that's 9-0. Then moving on to agenda item number 6, the Legacy Builders, special recognition. I'll turn it over to Ms. Murray.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Superintendent Blackburn, ladies and gentlemen of the board, and all of you who have joined us. Tonight, we'd like to recognize Mrs. Mev McIntosh, a teacher evaluator here at the district office. Recently, Ms. McIntosh was selected to be a member of the Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development's 2016 Class of Emerging Leaders. The ASCD is one of the largest education associations in the world and is a global community dedicated to excellence in learning, teaching, and leading. The Emerging Leaders Group, made up of just 50 highly accomplished educators, will advance the ASCD's mission through a 2-year program of activities. Class members represent all roles in education and are from 20 states throughout the U.S., as well as Washington, D.C., Bermuda, and Taiwan. The 2-year program encourages leadership growth and offers opportunities to engage with ASCD affiliates and other constituent groups. At this time, I would like to invite Ms. McIntosh to the front to accept her certificate and say a few words.
Good evening, Superintendent Blackburn, Chairman Hayes, and members of the school board. I'm honored to represent the Berkeley County School District and the state of South Carolina as a 2016 National Emerging Leader for the Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development, also known as the ASCD. As a teacher evaluator, I witnessed firsthand the dedication and innovation of our educators as they inspire genuine learning among their students and colleagues. As an emerging leader, I promise to help highlight our district's talented and passionate educators through its programs, initiatives, and grant opportunities, and enhance my own skills to become an even stronger advocate for all of our students, educators, parents, schools, and communities. The whole child approach ensures each child in each school, in each community, is healthy, safe, engaged, supported, and challenged. The whole child approach and the collaborative agenda for pre-K through 12 public education will serve as my anchors as an emerging leader. Furthermore, the ASCD's vast network of professionals in the field worldwide will help us to collectively enhance relations among our stakeholders and build upon our district's mission in providing world-class knowledge and skills for all of our students. Through my volunteer work with the League of Women Voters as Education Committee, I'm also growing in my role as an advocate for education through political and legislative avenues. I firmly believe these are crucial components of advocacy, and with local, state, and national elections, I will continue to encourage my colleagues to be the necessary voices for their students, schools, and communities in which they serve for this election year and beyond. And in 2017, I plan to attend the ASCD's Leadership Institute for Legislative Advocacy, also known as the LILA Conference, where I will have the opportunity to speak directly with our elected officials in Washington, D.C. Through my years as a classroom English language arts teacher, service learning sponsor, and now as a teacher evaluator, I've been blessed to have thoughtful and supportive colleagues and mentors. And as I've promised, I'd like to take a moment to highlight one of the many remarkable educators I'm proud to call a colleague and friend. Miss Jessica Benton, would you please stand? Ms. Benton was recently selected as an emerging leader, class of 2016, for the South Carolina ASCD. She is a full-release teacher mentor and is working on her master's in educational leadership for secondary supervision through our district's lead cohort program. Her commitment to our beginning teachers through her effective mentoring practices helps to ensure valuable support for our teachers who are new to the profession. And as educators, we know the importance of her work, since teacher retention continues to be a serious challenge both in our state and nationwide. Her expertise will prove valuable as we forge stronger connections throughout the global ASCD community to further support our stakeholders in Berkeley County. So please join me in a round of applause for Ms. Benton and her most recent recognition. Again, I humbly thank you for this recognition as a legacy builder, and I do commit myself to being both a vocal and proactive representative for our school district and the stakeholders it serves. Thank you very much.
And that concludes our recognitions for this evening, but as always, I encourage everyone to please take a copy of our Legacy Builders publication. Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'd like to congratulate Mev McIntosh this evening. You're a wonderful, wonderful representative of both the Berkeley County School District as well as the Citadel. And that's the type of person Mev is. She's here to be recognized for her award, but she takes the time to also honor Jessica Benton. What a humble person and what a talented person. Mev, you didn't get an opportunity to introduce Matt and your daughter. Did you want to let everybody know who your family is with you tonight? Thank you, Mev. Proud of you.
Then moving on to agenda item number 7, which is our citizen comments. In order to conduct the meeting in an orderly and efficient manner, we ask that you honor the following guidelines for our citizens' comments. Stakeholder comments are welcomed and encouraged. However, the board will not take immediate action on public comments at this meeting. Any person wishing to address the board must register prior to the meeting. Comments must be regarding programs and policies or procedures. Comments regarding complaints against employees other than district-level executives or references to students other than the child of the speaker will not be heard in public session. To maximize participation, comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. And the board chair does reserve the right to allot additional time or halt public comments that do not adhere to the guidelines. The board has set aside a total of 30 minutes for public comments. Then at this time, welcome to our podium, Ms. Pat Eckstein from the Hanahan area. She has a concern about the Tanner Foster Creek area elementary school.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First, number one, we are all excited to see if the proposed attendance map is the same as the one adopted last March, and we're all excited to see if that does get adopted this evening. Very happy to see that on the agenda. I wrote to the board last week on behalf of the Citizens Committee, providing some other factual information that we were not sure had all reached all of the members of the board. As Ms. Blackburn said, in terms of the school budget, there are very diverse needs throughout all of Berkeley County. There's also unique needs for each of the schools in the county. In particular, of the 5 new schools, four of them are being built in communities that are just being planned, such as Philip Simmons High School, the K-4 elementary school, and the middle school for 9,000 acres that there's no new homes planned for construction there yet or will start soon. You get to Nexton, that was selected in a brand new planned unit development. New homes are being built next to it right now. The apartments that attend that school are right off of 17A, and a lot of the students who were transferred there, I believe, came from Cane Bay. Fox Bank Elementary School is in a planned unit development community where the land for the school was already included in part of the plan. The property on Williams Lane that you have a contract for now was originally offered to the school district back in the early 2000s, but the district then was building Goose Creek Primary School. The uniqueness of the Tanner Foster Creek School is that it is in an area that is mostly already all developed. So it has unique needs, diverse needs. South Carolina DOT did not offer equal recommendations for the board to decide between the turn lanes or the roundabout. Your own traffic impact analysis gave the roundabout an A to B rating, gave the turn lanes with law enforcement a C rating, and without law enforcement an F rating. So they're not equal. They were not equal options. South Carolina DOT on May 4th, after we sought to be involved in the discussions. After DOT office did suggest that we be present at some of the site meetings, issued their final formal recommendation for the school saying that the roundabout was their number one preferred choice. Number two, I know but last minute meeting you gave somebody 5 minutes, so I will wrap this up very quickly. Number two was the turn lanes because the district did not have money. That's not equal. Those are not equal representations of safety. So what we're asking is that we would very much like on July 26th, which is your next regular board meeting, more than an hour of time was given to one of the projects in the referendum at the April board meeting and the June 14th board meeting. We would like the board to have a presentation about what these options are on the roundabout and on the turn lanes. We have provided you with the information of what the citizens have asked for continually the past 3 years. Somebody has directed the board to go after and seek with DOT the turn lanes with a police officer. The district went so far as to issue a press release to say that that's what you would be doing before. I don't think you've gotten anything back from any law enforcement agency yet that says it will do a long-term contract. So you need to be fair and equal to all the schools in their unique set of circumstances. And we hope that you will do that in Hanahan. So we understand the next board meeting is going to be a board retreat. I know the board adopted their meeting schedule, but it's not up on the agenda yet. If it's not going to be the next board meeting, you're going to do the board retreat, then we ask on July 26th, like you did on the last project, do a board vote. Are you going to vote for the roundabout, or are you going to vote for the turn lanes? Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Stevie Jones, who wants to talk about the in-school suspension program policy.
Welcome back, Mr. Jones. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
As part of the district call to have mother dads in school, I became a volunteer in the school as one of the dads. I spent a lot of time in school the past school year, and I was kind of shocked at what I saw. And what I saw was almost students are bullying teachers. The kids are out of control. You got students getting up, taking stuff off of teachers' desks, teacher begging the student to sit down. And when the parents do come to the school, they come to the school not to get on their child. They come to school to get on the teacher. And while I stay here tonight, some of you look surprised at what I'm saying. Board members, you should not be surprised at what I'm saying, because you know the problem in the school, because you yourself, I read a newspaper a couple weeks ago that every administrator in the district has been trained hand-to-hand, for hand-to-hand training. To me, that's not going to do no good, because the administrators in the front office, the teachers down in the classroom, the teachers need the training. So what do you do about bad kids? You have something called in-school suspension. I'm here to tell you now, for being out of school every week, in-school suspension is not working. In-school suspension has become a joke. It has become a club, because you got the same kids every week being sent to in-school suspension. So what do? I do not believe a child should be suspended from school, because the child could not learn when he at home, get in trouble. Kicking a child out of the classroom is not going to work. But you do need to do something to get control back to the teachers. And the way you get control back to the teachers, my personal opinion, is since you have given control to the parents, make the parents more responsible for their kids. Because the teachers do not have no say-so. All the control is on the parents. How do you make the parent more involved with the teacher? First time you send them in school suspension. The second time they get in trouble, don't send them back in school suspension. Make that parents take off from their job and come to that school and shadow their child, not for one class, but for the entire school day. I guarantee you, after a parent has to take off from work 1 or 2 times to deal with a child, you will start seeing improvement. Because right now, like I say, kids are out of control. The teachers spend more time with our children than we do. Believe it or not, those kids at school 8 hours a day. When they go home, they outside playing, they eat dinner, some of them do their homework, 3 hours. After that, they go to bed. The teacher is the one that's responsible for molding kids, getting kids ready for the future and stuff. However, we have to get taking control from the teacher. The teacher does not have control. So give the teacher a tool that they can use. And that tool is bring those parents from our home into the classroom to help them help. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 8, administration and facilities. Item for action is the second reading for the Tanner Foster Creek area attendance lines. Mr. Jackson? Mr. Franchini?
Good evening, Chairman Hayes, Superintendent Blackburn, members of the board. Tonight, we do bring before you the second reading of the elementary school located in the Tanner Foster Creek area. These attendance lines and grade configurations recommended for action were presented at a board meeting in the fall of 2013. The board approved the first reading of the attendance lines at the March 10th, 2015 board meeting. Establishing these lines will reconfigure the grade configuration for Goose Creek Primary, Sedgefield Intermediate, and Sedgefield Intermediate School to both K-5 schools, kindergarten through 5th grade schools, and it will move the 5th grade students from Hanahan Middle into an elementary setting. And establish feeder patterns for the students living in the Hanahan area, and the Hanahan elementary students to move to Hanahan Middle, and then also to Hanahan High School. The proposed attendance lines have been posted on the district's website, and tonight we turn that one off, Mr. Franchini. Tonight, the administration recommends approval of the attendance lines this evening to go into effect in the 2018-2019 school year.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the administration's recommendation to approve the second and final reading of the proposed attendance lines for Hanahan Elementary School and the new elementary school in Tanner Foster Creek area as presented by Mr. Jackson in Agenda Item 8, with recommended changes going into effect upon the completion and opening of the new elementary school in the Tanner Foster Creek area.
Second.
All right, we have a motion that we accept the administration's recommendations to approve the second and final reading of the proposed attendance lines for Hanahan Elementary School and the new elementary school in the Tanner Foster Creek area as presented by Mr. Jackson in Agenda Item 8, with recommended changes going into effect upon the completion and the opening of the new elementary school in the Tanner Foster Creek area. It has been seconded. Is there any discussion of this?
I do have a quick question. You said that it's going to change the grade configuration at Goose Creek Primary and Sedgefield Intermediate, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
When will we have those attendance lines?
Well, pending approval tonight, we will, I think the timeline that was passed out has the first reading for those attendance lines coming up at the July 26th board meeting.
Does that conclude your comments, Mr. Tobey? Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to make sure that this has been a long time coming. I've been waiting on this for a long time, but I want to say publicly there were a lot of people who helped to pass this referendum. One of the ladies spoke earlier tonight, helped us a great deal. Unfortunately, there were many who fought against the referendum, and that group lost by a large margin. But one person in Hanahan who deserves to be thanked publicly is Mayor Minnie Blackwell at the time, Minnie Newman now. I want all of my colleagues to know that she was right there with us every step of the way. So when you see Minnie, thank her. because she was the only one that stepped up, other than the folks in the community, to help us pass and build this school. So please give Minnie your kind regards when you see her. She really went to bat for us. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Do we have plans, will we need to renovate the intermediate school to handle primary age children, or will the primary facilities handle older children, as far as restrooms, playground equipment, and all that? Or will we have to refit those schools?
As far as any renovations, there'll be minor renovations, but the primary school will be the greatest concern. But it is equipped to deal with the older children. The biggest issue would probably be furniture. We're moving from 14-inch chairs or 16-inch chairs to probably 18-inch chairs and corresponding desks.
Is there a process for the teachers at these schools to be handled when that happens? They just go on the transfer list like normal, or?
No, ma'am. Without delving too much into HR, I have to defer to Dr. Levine, but it will be similar to the process that we use when opening up a new school.
Okay.
These lines are the exact same lines we voted on, though, back in March of 2015, correct?
Yes, sir. March 10th, 2015.
You said 2013 earlier. Did you mean 2015?
They were presented at a public meeting in 2013, but the board voted on it in 2015. Yes, sir.
A long time ago.
Let's pass them, folks. It's been a long time.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, call the
Then
question.
all of the comments are in, so therefore, we'll call the question one more time.
Question.
Yes.
Call for the question.
Oh, I thought you were all calling for a question. And I'm going to read back through that. The motion is to accept the administration's recommendation to approve the second and final reading of the proposed attendance lines for Hanahan Elementary School and the new elementary school at Tanner Foster Creek area as presented by Mr. Jackson in Agenda Item 8, with the recommended changes going into effect upon the completion and opening of the new elementary school in the Tanner Foster Creek area. All of those in favor of this motion, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, sir.
9-0.
Thank you.
I'm back. Mr. Chair, members of the board, and Ms. Blackburn, we have before you two items for action. The first is RFP 475 for baseball and softball field irrigation systems at multiple schools. This is one of the items that are on capital improvements, and we'd like to award this bid to Yellowstone Landscape Southeast for an estimated amount of $98,895. Ask for your approval.
Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve RFP 475-1516 for baseball and softball field irrigation systems at multiple schools to Yellowstone Landscape Southeast LLC for a cost of $98,895 as presented in Agenda Item 9A.
All right, we have a motion, and it's been seconded to approve RFP 475 for the 15-16 school year for baseball and softball field irrigation systems at multiple schools to Yellowstone Landscape Southeast LLC for a cost of $98,895 as presented in Agenda Item 9A. Is there any discussion?
Do you know what the multiple schools are?
Yes. Would you like to hear them?
Yes, if you could list them.
Cross High, Sedgefield Middle, which Sedgefield Middle is used for the Goose Creek High baseball teams, Goose Creek High and Timberland.
Was that your question too? Okay. Any other questions? All right. Then all of those in favor of the motion to approve RFP 475 for the baseball and softball field irrigation systems at multiple schools to Yellowstone Landscape Southeast LLC for a cost of $98,895, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. 9-0.
Item B, Before I move on to item B, I'd like to recognize some of the office, in the meeting, Ryan Wiggins from our office, who's been the brainchild of a lot of budget work, so I want to thank him for his hard work. And someday he'll be up here doing this, I am sure of that. So he and I are the only males in an office of all females, I think 17 or 18, right, Ryan? Something like that. So anyway. With that, I'm not going to go through the PowerPoint again. I'm going to ask for your approval of the 16-17 budget, which does include a 3.9 mil increase with an estimated expenditure level of $258,823,413.
Do I have a motion?
You do, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion to accept the fiscal year 2016-2017 general fund budget as second and final reading in the amount of $258,823,413 as presented by Mr. Thomas in budget public hearing and is listed under Finance Agenda Item 9B.
I second.
All right, we have a motion to accept the fiscal year 2016-2017 general fund budget as second and final reading in the amount of $258,823,413 as presented by Mr. Thomas in budget public hearing and as listed under the Finance Agenda Item 9B. Do we have any discussion?
Mr. Chair. I just want to say thank you to Brantley and Ms. Blackburn and all the hands that have gone into making this budget. We don't have the presentation up, but earlier in the presentation at the public hearing, one of the slides shows the 9 of us, how we prioritized the budget and where we thought we needed to spend money. You don't have to pull it up.
I got it.
But for my fellow board members, I want you to realize that they heard us. Our number 1 and number 2 for each one of us is in this budget. And I'll admit I didn't think that my number 1 would make it in there, but it did. And I'm highly impressed, and I just want to say thank you and excellent work.
Just a quick comment, Mr. Chairman, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I noticed earlier, and I'm embarrassed to say this, but I noticed earlier I didn't see any maintenance personnel additions. Am I correct or am I incorrect? Mr. Thomas? Have we added to our maintenance personnel figures? And the question is not as important, I think, as the comment. Let's just be cognizant moving forward that as our enrollment grows, so will our need for our maintenance division. So if there are any opportunities this year to address and give them some additional support, let's try and do so. If not, let's make sure that we plan next year, because I can see a lot of head shaking going on. We all get it. As our student body grows, so does our maintenance need. So that's just a comment. Right.
It was on the list, the big list that we had to narrow down, and we ended up choosing the diesel mechanic over the maintenance worker.
Gotcha.
But definitely, we'll go right back to that list that was generated this year and look again as we do have opportunities and also as we prepare the next year's budget.
And I do make that comment with the understanding that we had very limited funds available this year. I do understand that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, we've got to remember, too, that our physical plant numbers are increasing.
Right.
And, you're just asking our maintenance people to spread themselves thinner over more materials to work with. Okay. Any other comments?
I just got a quick question. Back in August, we had the Storm Thurmond Institute at Clemson, the Real Economic Analysis Laboratory, give us an analysis and said we didn't need any further increases in millage as long as we did that rollback. Do we know what's changed between August and now to cause an almost $4 million increase?
Yes, one is the extraordinary mandates from the state related to the cost of living, and the opening of 2 new schools are 2 things that come to mind. Again, they did say that, and I talked them through that. And again, if we don't do it, we'll start looking at the catch-up thing like we did for this year. But I'm starting to see more school districts act on Act 388 as to their limits. So they're finally getting the picture. So but those are two extraordinary items that kind of were different from that point in time to now, more particularly related to the 2% cost of living. That was not part of the discussion, or to my knowledge, it was going to happen at the point in time.
So then, despite what their study said that we wouldn't need any millage increase until 2035, it could be seeing one every year?
Yeah, and two, estimating what the state may or may not do with the base student costs or education finance reform. Those are a lot of unknowns that will change the picture every year. And so those again are two things that were not really part of the discussion when they came into the study.
Any other?
Just one other quick comment. Every year I've been on the board and we've gone through this process. We're all reminded of what Act 388, did across our state, and how we've had to live the fact that it also pit school districts and school boards against our local governments. And that's not a good place to be for any of us, because we all share these children and these teachers and these communities. So we just have to keep working hard to make sure we keep that pressure, because there are better ways, and we know that there are. And the fact that all of you were able to overcome some of those shortcomings because of local issues is really admirable, and our children will benefit from your hard work. We know that. So I just want to say again, I'm going to keep working with my policymakers, my representatives, and I hope the rest of you do too.
Philosophically, to me, it's the group of the tax category that brings us our students. We don't have, we can't access them, and I think philosophically that's wrong.
Any further comments? All right, then again, the motion is to accept the fiscal year 2016-17 general fund budget as second and final reading in the amount of $258,823,413 as presented by Mr. Thomas in budget public hearing and as listed under the finance agenda item 9B. All of those in favor of this motion, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye. Mr. Chairman, could we have a roll call vote? This is such an important agenda item. I wanted to make sure I understood the vote. May I ask you to conduct a roll call vote?
Okay, we'll go by the district. District 1?
Aye.
District 2?
Nay.
District 3?
No.
District 4?
Aye.
District 5?
Aye.
District 6?
Nay.
District 7?
Yes.
District 8?
Yes.
District 9? Yes.
6-3.
6-3.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Teacher pay rise.
Okay, moving on to agenda item number 10, Superintendent's Report.
I have just two things I'd like to bring to the attention of the folks in the room as well as the board this evening. Although it's summertime, school is not really out, and there's some really great things going on in Berkeley County School District. And I had an opportunity today to stop by Westview Middle School, where there were 125 8th through 12th graders involved in some really enriching hands-on activities. I saw a group of young folks floating their robots that they had made in a wading pool having the best time you've ever seen, and just, they were floating. I was pretty amazed, okay? I sure couldn't do it. Saw some young folks doing some contemporary literature, others talking about global issues of the 21st century, and kids and teachers were absolutely having a great time. So we are still doing some really productive things out there and some exciting things for our young folks. And I'd like to commend Mary Fisher, and I'd like to commend Sharon, who always makes us so welcome at Westview. We call on her so many times, and again this summer she's doing that, so a really great opportunity. The other thing I'd like to say, since I'm finishing my first budget season in Berkeley County School District and in Berkeley County, I would just like to commend those who've been here much longer than I, because you have a track record of achieving excellence beyond the dollars that are invested in the education for our children. And I keep coming back to the statistic that just stands out so much to me, and that is that we rank in state number 67 out of 83 in per pupil expenditure, and yet the achievement of our students ranks at 24th. And so it is, I believe, a lean, mean, and efficient machine, and it's been my pleasure to be a part of that process this year. So I
Amen.
Thank you for the opportunity. And that's it.
Okay. Moving on to agenda item number 11 then, the executive session. Discussion of pending employment matters, including appointments of administrators. Do I have a motion?
You do, Mr. Chair.
Second.
We have a motion to go into executive session to discuss pending employment matters, including appointment of administrators. It's been seconded. Any discussion? Then all those in favor of this motion, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. And we are in an executive session. Opposed, same sign. All right, do we have a recommendation from the administration?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You do. It's the recommendation of the administration of Berkeley County School District that Charlotte Groves be named as the new Philip Simmons Middle School Assistant Principal with a contract date effective July 11, 2016. Charlotte's back there, so I'll let you all do your thing and then have her stand.
Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, you do. I am honored to provide this motion that we accept the recommendation of the administration of Berkeley County School District and appoint Charlotte Groves to be named as new Philip Simmons Middle School Assistant Principal with a contract to take effect July 11th, 2016.
Second.
Hi, we have the motion to accept the recommendation of the administration, Berkeley County School District, that Charlotte Groves be named as the new Philip Simmons Middle Assistant Principal with a contract to take effect July the 11th, 2016. Any further discussion? Then all of those in favor of this motion, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Then we have a new assistant principal at Philip Simmons Middle. Would you please stand? Congratulations. Okay, now, do I have a motion to go into executive session to hear, is it 9? 8. Student attendance appeals and discuss any pending litigation that we may have.
So move.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion to go into executive session to hear the student attendance appeals, 8 of them, and a discussion of pending legislation. Any discussion? Then all of those in favor of this motion, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. And again, we are in executive session.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion to return from executive session into general session. It's been seconded. Any discussion? Then all those in favor of this motion, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. Now, actions coming from the executive session involving our 8 attendance appeals. Do I have a motion concerning student number 1?
Mr. Chair, in the matter of student number 1, I move that we deny the appeal.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to deny the attendance appeal for student number 1. It's been seconded. All of those in favor of this motion, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
2.
6-2.
6-2, right. Do I have a motion for the attendance appeal for student number 2?
Mr. Chair, in the matter of student number 2, I move that we grant the appeal.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to grant the attendance appeal for student number 2. It's been seconded. All those in favor of this motion, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, 6-2. Do I have a motion for student number 3?
Mr. Chair, in the matter of student number 3, I move that we approve the appeal.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve the student appeal for student number 3. All of those in favor of this motion, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Moving on to student number 4. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, in the matter of student number 4, I move that we deny the appeal.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to deny the attendance appeal for student number 4. It's been seconded. All those in favor of this motion, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
That's 7-1. Student number 5, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, in the matter of student number 5, I move that we deny the appeal.
Second.
So we have a motion to deny the attendance appeal for student number 5. It's been seconded. All of those in favor of this motion, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
That's a 6-2. Student number 6, do I have a motion?
I move that we deny the appeal for student number 6.
Second.
So we have a motion to deny the attendance appeal for student number 6. It's been seconded. All of those in favor of this motion, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Aye.
6-2. Moving on to student number 7.
Mr. Chair, in the matter of student number 7, I move that we deny the appeal.
Second.
All of those, we have a motion to deny the attendance appeal for student number 7. All of those in favor of this motion, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
So that's a 7-1. And moving to student number 8.
Mr. Chair, I move that we deny the appeal for student number 8.
Second.
We have a motion to deny the attendance appeal for student number 8. It's been seconded. All of those in favor of this motion, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
6-2. That concludes the actions coming out of executive session with student appeals. Moving on to agenda item number 17, which involves the board chair report, and this is discussion of an agenda item, the meeting invocation. It's come to our attention involving the Lord's Prayer at board meetings. We've sent out information to all of the board members about options we have, and what we are going to do is to go through each individual one. We have basically 5 options, and I would just want to give each board member an opportunity to express their feelings about what options are best suited for them, and then we'll go from there. Mr. One is, Kent is not here, so we'll move on to Mike. Go ahead, Mike. And
Could you go over the options?
Go over the options. Basically, the options are 1, to continue to recite the Lord's Prayer at our practice and face a long and expensive lawsuit that many others have already fought and lost. Secondly is to observe a moment of silence in the place of a verbal invocation, and individuals can meditate and reflect as they desire. Thirdly, we can eliminate the item, that is, any invocation, from our board meeting agenda entirely. Fourthly, develop a list of religious and secular groups throughout the county and extend an invitation to present the invocation at each of our meetings. And the fifth option is to have a non-secular prayer read by a board member during an invocation time.
I think you mean sectarian, I think is probably the word, not non-secular prayer, but in the last option.
Yes, a secular prayer.
All right, you ready for me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, at the outset, respectfully, I think we have more options than that, but I do want to note at the outset, I'm Mac McQuillan, I represent District 2. I want to note at the outset that I'm not in favor of a moment of silence, or calling it what it really is, a moment of censorship, is what I see it. I want to address first why I think we as a board pray, and the reason why I pray and the reason why I think this board prays is because we need the reminder that we're doing important and serious work and that we need help to do it right. These are our children. This is their future, and this is our children. This is our future that we're trying to build and protect. On this board, we make hard, crucial, and sometimes controversial decisions, and I, for one, need the reminder and the encouragement that I have a transcendent responsibility to serve to the best of my ability and to ask God for help doing even better than my best. This isn't controversial. This all goes way back before the founding of our country and has been an unbroken practice ever since. Courts have repeatedly recognized that it is clearly constitutional, which is no surprise. The same Congress that wrote the Establishment Clause opened its sessions with prayer and hired a chaplain to pray for them. And just so folks in the audience know, the Establishment Clause is part of the First Amendment and says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Just 2 years ago, every member of the United States Supreme Court agreed that legislative prayer is constitutional, and that's in the Town of Greece case. The court said that such prayer has, quote, become part of the fabric of our society through an unambiguous and unbroken history of more than 200 years of opening legislative sessions with a prayer. Municipal lawmakers do this all over the state of South Carolina. County council members in almost 80% of South Carolina counties have opened with prayer, and city council members have done the same in half of South Carolina's big cities, including Charleston and Summerville. The court also made clear that neither D.C. lawyers nor government bureaucrats can tell us which God to pray to or tell us how to pray to him. The only limits on our prayers is that we can't use them for something other than what they're meant to do, such as attacking those who disagree with our beliefs. Our prayers are and must be completely voluntary. A forced prayer is a fake prayer and is an unconstitutional one. But we don't pray like here at the Berkeley County School Board. Prayer isn't divisive. It unites us. From President George W. Bush to from George Washington to President George W. Bush to President Barack Obama, our nation's leaders have asked God for guidance and courage to make the right decisions. President Obama concluded his remarks at the 50th anniversary of the Selma to Montgomery marches by affirming that, quote, we believe in the power of an awesome God, and we believe in this country's sacred promise. May he bless those warriors of justice no longer with us, and bless the United States of America. Every president from George Washington to Barack Obama has, quote, upon assuming his office, invoked the, quote, protection and help of God. This should be no surprise, since our country was founded on the belief that God is the source of our rights and the purpose of any governmental body. Our purpose here on this school board is to work together to protect those rights. There's no reason why we can't build on that foundation and do the same thing that national, state, and local leaders do every day. Nowhere should this be more true than Charleston, South Carolina, the holy city, which has been home to a variety of vibrant faiths for almost 350 years. For many of us, from all types of backgrounds, our faith is what defines us, it's what unites us, and it's what motivates us to serve and to overcome. I can't think of a better example of that than the Emmanuel AME Church and its deep historical roots in our community, its potent perseverance of overcoming slavery, and its powerful example of combating racism with courageous forgiveness. This is who we are in Charleston and Berkeley County, and I hope and pray that we have the courage not to fail our children by letting D.C. lawyers strip that away. Now, I don't want to rush to judgment on this issue. We shouldn't let D.C. lawyers tell us how to best serve our children, and we shouldn't rush to judgment. We just got this letter from the group Americans United for Separation of Church and State 2 weeks ago, and even that letter said it would wait 30 days, and I don't see why we have to rush to take orders from D.C. lawyers. These same D.C. lawyers just lost their last legislative prayer case at the United States Supreme Court. These are the same D.C. lawyers who have tried and failed to remove "In God We Trust" from our national motto, to stop school children from voluntarily saying, quote, "under God" in the Pledge of Allegiance, and to cancel the annual Christmas stamp. Bullying is how they make their money. They target small towns and small school districts and threaten them with litigation, and then send out press releases to their supporters. There's a reason why they're coming after our school board and not the South Carolina legislature or the United States Congress, even though both of those public bodies open with prayer. And South Carolina law specifically allows us to open our meetings with prayer. In terms of a path forward, my faith says we should be innocent as doves, but wise as serpents. And I think we should be careful to dot our I's and cross our T's, making sure our school district can continue giving our kids the devoted care they deserve, and that we won't have to pay 1 penny to these D.C. lawyers. Let's do the right thing. Under South Carolina law, specifically the South Carolina Public Prayer and Invocation Act, championed and passed by our own Senator Chip Campson, which lets us get absolutely free official guidance from the Attorney General's office and requires the AG to provide free legal representation if we're sued for following that guidance in South Carolina law. So let's hit pause on saying the Lord's Prayer at our board meeting, submit a strong policy to the South Carolina Attorney General for review, and then get back to serving our kids with the confidence and clarity they deserve. I think this is the right path forward. I think it not only protects our ability to serve our kids, it gives them an example of how to handle bullies by having courage, being smart, and refusing to give up.
It's difficult to follow a great lawyer like Mr. McQuillan, but I think it would be a grave mistake if we take prayer out of our board meetings. You know, that's what guides us on everything we do. You know, if there's any type of tragedy or anything like that in our community, you always see us pulling together for prayer, having prayer groups or having prayer meeting, and to ask God to leave that would just be the worst thing ever. So how could you ask God to leave our institution and then, oh, wait a minute, something bad happened, we want you to come back? Well, why should he even come back? So, you know, with everything Mr. McQuillan said, you know, we can go down that road, but, you know, it would be my vote just to keep the Lord's Prayer. And if somebody wants to sue us in the name of God, then let them do it.
So let me get this straight. Both of you are saying you want to continue saying the Lord's Prayer.
No, sir, that's not what I said. I'm saying let's press pause and let's come up with a policy that allows us to pray within constitutional bounds as is set forth in South Carolina law, submit that policy to the Attorney General for their approval, which in turn would provide, under the statute, we'd be provided with a defense free of cost by the Attorney General.
All right. Okay, following the statute that the state has set forward.
What now?
You're saying follow what the state statute said that they just passed this spring.
The state statute and case law, yeah. I am not in favor of continuing to do the current practice we do. I think that we should amend it. But I do think we should continue praying at our board meetings.
I believe I agree with Mr. McQuillan. I think we're all very faithful people on this board. I, for one, believe that God put me where I am. There was a reason that I won the elections that I did, and to deny that would be just wrong and against my core beliefs. I, however, do not want to. I don't want to have to pay any more lawyer fees. That's one of the things that my constituents have said over and over is they're tired of paying legal fees, and if we can get free representation, then I'm all about that, as long as it's quality. I mean, if I have to choose one of the five, I would go with probably number 4 or number 5, because that allows us to pray during our board meetings, and it doesn't exclude one religion or another. As strong as my beliefs are, it's not fair for me to push them on anybody else. And I think that we don't want to, I don't think that we want to pigeonhole ourselves as one religion in Berkeley County, because we're not. So if I have to choose between one of these on the list, I would go with 4 would be not my number 1 choice. Number 5 would be my second choice.
Mr. Chair, though, we're going to explore this later at our board retreat. Is that correct? We're not voting on an option tonight.
No, we're not voting on a thing.
Okay.
Solid. Right.
That's my big point, is I don't want to rush in anything. I want to make sure if there are more than 5 options, we consider every option as a board.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. I just, of the 5 options that we were given, that's how I would, that's where my opinion is.
Well, the one thing I think is very clear is that we cannot continue the practice we had. Okay, Kathy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with pieces of what all 3 of you have said. I think for me, we are compelled as a body to be inclusive of all religions. And I always think of our children and our teachers first. As far as I know, unless this has changed, and I was in a school just the other day, and I said my prayer during the moment of silence, just like all the students and the teacher and teacher assistant that were in the room. I think it's important that we do what our students and our educators do, and so I'm in favor of the moment of silence. I think it's the most respectful way. I know what I'm going to be saying during those 60 seconds, and I believe my Lord hears me, just as all of those around me. So that's where I am right now, but I am open to hearing more ideas.
Okay, Sally.
I have struggled over this terribly because when I first came to a school board meeting and heard the Lord's Prayer, it was just a calming moment of everybody being in unity. And Mac and I were talking on the way here. This is so close to your heart, you kind of get a little emotional about it. I don't want a moment of quiet. I would like a moment of unity. And I think the best way to have that is to have a list of clergy of all different kinds to come and present and bring us together and have that unity at that time. So if there are ways to include and have a way that we engage people in the right way, but also still have that moment of unity, of quiet, of peace, that would be my preferred method. There has to be something. Eliminating it cannot even be on my radar. There has to be some acknowledgement. I am not okay with no acknowledgement. And I'm not necessarily want to recite something additional to the Pledge of Allegiance of just a set of words to recite. So I would prefer different clergy of different religions coming and bringing encouragement to this board and bringing unity to the board by invitation. And that way we are inclusive of everyone who's in Berkeley County, but we also hear the encouragement and that moment of unity when we come together.
I guess it's my time.
Yes.
When I think about board meetings and I think about where we stand with prayer, definitely I'm not in favor of a moment of silence. I'm not also in favor of continuing the practice that we practice. I do think prayer is needed in our board meetings. And looking at the different opportunities that are given on the list that you give, I lean more to selection of clergies coming in and allowing us to have prayer. I do want prayer at our board meetings.
I really don't have a whole lot of, I don't have a comment about it at all, because I think everybody have expressed their individual opinion about all of this, and I think it should be inclusive of everybody, because I don't want to force my opinion or my religious belief on anybody, because I have a personal relationship, and I think that's my relationship with the God that I serve, and I don't have an opinion what anybody else want to do. So whatever the state laws allow us to do, then I will apply those principles. And when we have a chance to discuss this more in detail at our workshop, I think we'll come out of there with an understanding that we should apply what needs to be applied in the appropriate way. That's my personal feelings.
Okay, it was down to me. Well, personally, the Lord and I are close friends, and He knows what's in my heart. He knows what's in my mind. He knows what's in my soul. Silent prayer, out loud prayer, to me, the Lord knows what is going through my mind. I can deal with any of that. The one thing that I continue to go back to, as Kathy alluded to it, is that we are sitting up here on this board doing something that our students and our teachers and our faculties and our people in our schools cannot do. And, I would like to see the opportunity, because we all agree prayer is important. The power of prayer is tremendous. I've gone through a week of it, and I know the power of prayer and the joy, the comfort that you get from that. So I agree. We need to have prayer. Do we need to have it where everybody hears it? Every night that I go down on my knees, nobody but me and the Lord hear my prayers. I don't have to pray it out loud. So I'm okay with, options 4, which is develop a groups and allow them to come in. The only thing I, have with that is, folks, we have to accept, whether it be a religious group or a non-religious group, we have to accept that they have a right to stand in front of this group and say what they want. And we cannot, by constitution or by law, we cannot say, no, you can't do that. Because then we are pointing the direction toward a particular religion. And it's very clear in the Constitution, no, we cannot establish any particular religion. We may not like that. I like what our forefathers did. And yes, our legislature opens up every meeting with a prayer by a chaplain. And that chaplain has a list. He has made a book of prayers that are not any particular religion. They're very secular. Our national legislatures are the same. In fact, they have visiting people coming in. They have different people. to me, adding another person to our agenda, coming to Monk's Corner in the evening traffic. What are we going to do if they don't make it here on time? I just look at the things that can happen. And those are the things that we're going to have to discuss as a group. Also, we already put much of the items on our agenda on the backs of people here in the district office. This is not going on theirs. This is the board problem, and this is a board decision. And a committee from this group, if we decide that we're going to bring in groups from all over the county, then it's going to be board people who are going to arrange this and take care of it. Because that, we have to be responsible for our own meetings from that standpoint. So it's,
Mr. Chairman, we will further discuss this at another setting.
Yes, we're going to go into great detail with this.
Okay, and then we'll have the opportunity to get into more detail.
Yep.
Because I believe that there may be other options other than the ones that are listed here. So I think we can have a little more discussion on that at that time.
Yep.
And come up with something that is feasible that everybody can agree with.
Well,
Yeah,
and that's exactly right.
There's a case, too, just so y'all know, there's a case pending currently at the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals where each board member prayed at a meeting on a rotating basis, and that decision would likely be decided by the time we make a policy. So I mean, there's all sorts of things that could change and that could give us additional options and guidance.
I'll tell you, you go out and you look on the internet at this, and I mean, it is.
Yeah, I see.
You could spend the rest of your life looking at cases involving this. It's tremendous. But like I say, I believe I personally can deal with silent moment. I can deal with individual prayers, secular prayers, whatever. So I think you've heard from the group, and I think we've set our groundwork where we're coming from, and that we will pick this up at our meetings. We will continue at the present time, unless someone wants to come in with a secular prayer at our next meeting. We will continue with the moment of silence until we decide as a board. I will say that if we decide to bring in a group, we'll have to set the procedures, which means we'll have to set up a policy as well as a procedure and for our books. And also, if we decide to go with secular prayer, then we will have to develop a policy from the board to do that. Okay? Any other discussion? I appreciate it, guys, that you all poured it out here, and I appreciate that because it's I think everybody needs to know where we come from on this. Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Mr. Chair.
I have a motion that's been seconded to adjourn. Do we have any discussion? Then all those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
We are in adjournment. Thank you.